Okay, there's a bunch of different ways you can do this, and I'm going to show you each one, and hopefully you can find some ways to incorporate your own designs and take whatever you want, don't whatever you don't. Start with this guy. This is a fat pre-made template that you can get at Michael's. It has the snap already on it, and it's kind of a small size. It's more like for a woman or a thin guy, so being that it's like that, I feel like it's a little too fat. So I'm going to take my heavy-duty scissors and cut it down a little bit. So I'm really not going to waste too much time worrying about cutting it some amazing way. This is pretty much, let's get that basic idea. These heavy-duty scissors, don't try to cut leather with like regular scissors. It'll be so uncomfortable and painful and not fun. These heavy-duty scissors cut it through it like butter, and you don't have to spend a lot. These were like 15. I think I've seen them as low as 12, but if you have to spend up to 20, it's totally worth it. These are titanium blade. It says, you know, made for heavy-duty use, and it's good stuff. Good stuff. And that's fun. That's a little bit too wild and wacky. I want to tone it down a little bit, so I'm going to cut these sharper corners down a little bit. Putting smaller little cuts to cut down the corners, you'd think it makes it look zanier, but it actually tones down the overall sharpness. It's like taking away the sharp elbows and replacing them with divots, so the whole thing feels a little bit less extreme and a little bit more uniform. So, you know, go with something, jump into it, and then modify it if you need to. I feel like I need a little divot right there to balance out the pattern. Maybe one right there. Now it's starting to develop more of a texture as opposed to like a wild, wacky zigzag, a lightning bolt. Okay, I'm happy with this. Now this is raw leather. It's supposed to be taking stain usually, so we don't have any stain, so we'll just get some acrylic paint and play with that. Trying to get a little bit of a tannish brown. Let's see what happens. Got to go easy with your darker colors. Darker colors overpower. Lighter colors you can put heavily. So I added too much black at first. I had to wash the brush and, you know, go back. That's good. Let's see. Oh, that's barely darkening it at all from where it was. So let's add a little more of the black in there. And because I want this to dry fast and I want it to be a thin coating, just almost like a stain, I don't want it to, I don't want the paint to overpower the leather. I want the texture of the leather to show through. So I'm rubbing it in really deep, and that helps it dry really fast too. And I also don't want it to be uniform, so I want to just splash the black and other different colors around here and there. Come back with the red. You don't even need a brush for this. You can like dip your finger and just rub it if you feel like it. It's fun. You can stain the back too if you feel like it. If you really want to be overkill. Cool burnt reddish brownish black. Let's put that aside to dry for a few minutes. Work on the next one. This is a thin one, and this is I like these better because they have the two snaps for two different sizes. So this actually has a larger. That's more like for the average guy. That's like for the average female, and so this could go for either one. I'm going to paint this one a little different. Try to throw a little green in there. See how that goes. Maybe a little yellow. Touch of red. Blending can be so much fun, and just relax and just keep blending. If you put too much of one color, just dip your finger in some water and it'll thin the paint, and then you can wipe it off a little bit and add another color. You don't get the paint doesn't fully dry until you let it sit for, like, even if it's really thin, you have to let it sit for at least 10 minutes. So in the meantime, you can always add a little bit of water, thin it out, change it, have some fun with it. Now, I like these bright colors, but I want to make it a little more subdued than this. I'm going to add a little bit of tan and brown on top of them, and a little bit of black. That's cool. Let's let that dry. Now this leather's already stained, and it's pretty thick, but it's cut in a thin strip. So this is just going to be a bracelet. Let's get the general size we want for a bracelet. Cut it. Round off the edges a little bit. Just need to keep it nice and rustic a little bit. And now we get our heavy duty hole punch with the 6 sides, and we pick like one of the medium ones. Punch a hole on each end. And we get these little connectors that are like a little knob. The knob goes on one side and look like this. It's paint on my fingers. They look like this. The one side is a little screw. The other side is a knob. It's a knob. So you pick one side and you put it through. Ooh, need a bigger hole. And you take the other side and you screw it over the top. And you get it as tight as you can. And then when you can't get it any tighter, you grab one end with pliers and the other end with a screwdriver or your fingernail if your fingernail is super bionic. And you make the extra amount of tightness go. Really shouldn't do your fingernail, but just for the sake of the video, you should get like an actual, you could use a butter knife or any kind of flat, thin piece of metal, but get it on there really tight so it never comes undone. Now you have this knob, and on this side you want it to be able to go in the hole. That hole is not big enough, so you need to take our biggest hole and punch it. You're going to have to punch it a few times because even the biggest hole, for some reason, it's not big enough for this knob. So I kind of punch a hole and then punch another hole like on top of it, but it's slightly to the right or left, so until I get a nice bigger hole. And voila, it's in, it catches, it goes on the wrist. So this one is ready to go. And for our fourth one, we're just going to take a raw slab of leather, already stained. Try to get heavy duty leather because, you know, this kind of heavy. You don't want super thin or flimsy. If you have super thin or flimsy, you can layer it up. Put 2 or 3 layers, put some super glue in the middle. That'll work. But anyway, let's take this and we'll just cut out a basic bracelet shape. I'm going to use this because that's the right size to pattern it off of. But I'm going to make it just a little fatter. And again, I'm not trying to be perfect. You don't see the whole bracelet once it's on the wrist, so if it doesn't look totally perfect when it's totally stretched out like this, that's okay. That's a cool thing about bracelets. They can be a little uneven in different places because all people really see is the top third of it that's on the top of the wrist. Unless it's one of those bracelets that's just uniform all the way around like a bangle. But whatever. Anyway, so this is a nice dark reddish brown. stain. Once again, we're going to use that knob attachment. So on this side, we're going to make kind of a chunky big hole. Make like, hit it like 3 times to get it nice and chunky. And then on this side, we're going to do a medium-sized hole so we can put the attachment on. Voila. Now, this is cool. If you want it adjustable, you can put like another hole and another hole. So make it a little bit bigger, and then you can put several holes, and the knob obviously can make it adjustable. Anyway, let's get to the fun part, adding our stones and our wire. I got 20 gauge of 3 different colors to show you all different ways, and several different stones. This is going to be fun. Okay, this one is ready. We have a beautiful tiger's eye. This is like, I think it's about 2 centimeters, about 1 inch long. And then we got these red jasper 8mm round stone beads that we're going to put, where'd the other one go? Like so. We're going to get bright copper. I'm going to take about 2 feet. I haven't done this in a couple years, and I haven't practiced before the video, so hopefully this won't be a total disaster. So 20 gauge or 22 gauge, I'm sorry, 20 gauge or 18 gauge are the best for this. How do I want to do that? Yeah, I think I want to go in these stones first. Just stack them all on. Bring them to the very middle of the wire. Now what you could do, you could just bend these like that and punch 2 holes and just thread them right down like that on top of the bracelet, and then wrap the wire over the top and tuck it in somewhere and be done. That'd be easy. And then the stones show, and that's very pretty. But I want to do a decoration over the top of the stones because I have to be extra. So actually take these guys off, and we'll do one of these decorations. Wrap a swirl around the middle of this guy. It doesn't have to be dead center, but we'll wrap a real pretty swirl. I love how bright copper and tiger's eye go together. It's like a great combo. So here's our pretty swirl. Get it nice and tight. And then thread these guys on. Now there's a million ways to do this, but this is just one fun way. So now we put it right on the leather, right where we want it to be. And get a little Sharpie marker or some kind of marker and put a little dot in front of each stone where you're going to punch the hole. Doesn't have to be exact. And we need a tiny hole for this. Now pull these tight. Whoa, look at that. They're sliding right on top of the stone. This is a different pattern. They're not going to do that once they're pulled this way because the tension will be pulling them down. And thread them onto the holes. Voila. Now make sure every stone is where you want it to be. No, I'm going to give these a little crimp because they're sliding too much. So I'm going to crimp them like that. There we go. And yep, I'm not feeling this. Let's take this off. This, I'm going to come around like this and come through here. That, pull that a little tighter. There we go. Now that bead isn't bouncing around, and it looks kind of cooler. So I'm going to do it again right here. Thread it right through that loop and just pull tight. Simple fix. Now we don't have these beads bouncing up and down. Put it back in. Ah, much better. All right, now we're going to pull it tight. We're holding firm everywhere. Pull the wire super tight and come around the front. And it's going to go in these crevices. Now these crevices are serving a purpose. You don't have to have crevices, but it really helps. See that? And we'll do the same thing on this side. You can go the same direction or an alternate direction, however you want to do it. All right. Now this side, I totally ran out of wire already, so let's tuck it under here, pull it tight, like so, and then make a cute little curly cue. Now, like, have fun with this, because I'm going to show you a few patterns, but there's a million ways to do this. You could thread the wire all the way down and then thread it back up and make your curly cue right here and hide it under the stone. That's a fun way to do it. That way you can go one way and then you can get a crosshatch. You can take your pliers and crimp the wire and make like lightning bolt zigzags. There's a million different ways, fun ways, and don't ever think the way you did is a mistake. Do you see how I just started? I just made a little mistake and I just undid it and redid it, and it came out even better than I planned. So now I'm tucking that little swirl under there, right there. So probably even with wear or tear, that's going to stay put. If you don't feel like your swirl is going to stay put, try to put it somewhere else. You can put a dab of super glue in there. You know, there's a million different things you can do. But this is fun the way it is. Now, this last guy here, let's see, what do we do with him? He can come around a few more times. And we'll end him right there. We'll wrap him through this one. Get your fingernail under there if you need to. If it's so tight you can't get in there, you're doing good because it's supposed to be tight. And we'll go through twice. I feel like that's a little bit, make that a little stronger. Pull tight, get that loop in there. There we go. And we'll cut him off like right there. We only want this much to do our swirl. Okay. All right, and tuck that swirl in. Bam. Fun bracelet. That's super fun, right? Let's do the next one. This guy's ready to go. I got some kind of a little dark, almost grayish, brownish black, like a smoky quartz or something. I'm going to take this nice red copper, ooh, pretty, and take about 2 feet again, thread it through here, bring it to the middle, crimp. We're going to do the similar design with the swirl, but we're just going to do a little bit of a swirl. It's a smaller stone, and there we go. That's enough. And voila. Okay. Now we'll just bend it and bend it. So both sides are facing down. And we'll mark our place on the piece. Center of the bracelet. Bam, bam. Punch our holes. Thread it through. Make sure to get it really tight. Sometimes if you feel like it, you can cross these in the back. You don't have to go with the direction you think. Sometimes you can cross them like this. If you feel that'll make it extra tight. There's a whole bunch of fun ways you can experiment. You guys will figure out things I didn't even think of. So now we're going to come across the top here like this. Right? Now we got these cute little 6mm blue dye jasper. They are so pretty. And we're going to thread them through every single pass of the wire over the leather. And there's no notch to hold it. You can cut notches if you want, but this wire is generally going to stay where you put it in this case, I think. We'll find out. Just got to press it tight. It helps if you kink it a little, if you crimp it a little by pressing it like that, so the stone is, the stone won't slide up and down. And then very firm, come around the back, very firm, come around the front again. Put your next stone through. Come around the front, come around the back. Try to make these parts even, but don't go crazy. Just, you know, do your best. Holding tight from all positions. Okay, now we're going to go backwards, cross like this, and this will, you don't have to do this, but it's a fun pattern, and it'll hold the stones even better. All right, it's just giving you more ideas of what you can do. And I pressed it tight, so it's kind of doesn't look like a straight line anymore. If you feel like that's a little too wobbly wonky, you can do it differently. But let's do the same with this one. Go across, pull it right up against the stone, go across. And one more. I guess this guy needs one more too, right? You wouldn't believe me if I told you I'm literally making most of this up as I go. I've done some of these years ago, and when I did them the first time, I made it up as I went. So this is actually a pattern I've never done exactly like this. But look how fun that is. You can have the beads coming all the way down the bracelet if you want. But here's, all I'm going to tell you is the starting point and the ending point, which are really what matters. And this ending point right here is you have these two pieces, and you want to pull them tight again around each other and make another swirl. Now this one doesn't have to be decorative, and you don't want to make too much of a knot that's going to press into the top of a person's wrist. So try to make it kind of flat. But what you can do here is you can make a swirl and you can tuck it in there and hide it, but then it could come out and scratch someone. So it's best if you can tuck your final swirl under the stone. That's the best part. So we're going to come back up here and cut ourselves just enough to leave a swirl, fairly, like maybe a swirl the size of a little bit of bigger than a centimeter, like a little bit bigger than these little beads. So you just turn your wire and pinch it. Try not to slip. Pinch it real carefully, and then grab it this way and just start rolling it. As you're rolling it, pull it out, pull it tighter. Pull it tighter. Check out what's going in the back. Make sure you're not messing up the whole thing. But hold it tight here and pull it tight. Pull it tight from all directions. But most of wire wrapping is pulling things tight. And then turn it and shove it right under the stone. And kind of just close your pliers and just jam it in there. And then do the same with this guy. Get in there. All right. Pull everything tight. Make sure it's tight. Now this is cool, but I feel like these cross hatch parts are not totally straight. They're kind of like going every which way, kind of like ropes, which is, let's see how it looks on a wrist when it's all done. All right, I don't have another wrist to show you, but that's kind of cool. I like that. That's funky. Now here's another thing to make it tighter and add coolness to the design, which you can do to any wire wrapped piece if you want. Just go straight down and do a quarter turn with your pliers, and that crimps it. You can crimp it. It's best to keep going the same direction. You get like a uniform look. And then turn this way and do these guys, and that's going to hold everything tighter. Not only does it look cool, but it strengthens everything, keeps things from moving around. And you can put multiple, you can put like more than one on each strand, you know. Depends where it fits. But see, that's kind of cool, right? Kind of like crackle lightning. So I think it looked cool either way. It's up to you, your personal preference. Let's do the next one. This skinny little guy, I'm going to use a teeny tiny, this is like a little, it's called a little coin disc bead. And it's dyed seashell. It's about 1 centimeter wide. And then these two little 4 millimeter malachites. Malachites have these natural green stripes. They're so cute. Anyway, so that's fun, right? And for this one, I'm going to use some black gunmetal. Just showing you guys all the different options that look really nice. This is also called hematite, depending on where you order it from, because it's the color of the, it's not real hematite, like the stone, the metallic stone you find in the ground, but it's the same color. Maybe it has some hematite in it. I don't know. I'm not a chemist. I'll do a chemistry page next for you guys. So Matt's crazy chemistry. First I have to go to school for it and figure out that stuff. All right. So again, well, now I'm not going to take 2 whole feet this time. It's a smaller bracelet. I'll take about 1.5 feet. Take it to the middle again. And this time I'm just threading these guys on. No fancy design. And I'm just going to crimp them tight like that, 2 ends down, and I'm not even going to punch holes in the leather to show that if you don't have a hole punch, you really should get a hole punch if you're going to work with leather, but say you don't have one on you. You don't need one. You can put it here, just place it like that, and actually you're going to want one each side to go a different direction. So let me fix that. Okay, there we go. See, each side is going to crimp it a little tighter, right angles, right? And I'm going to wrap it like that once. I'm going to wrap this side like that once. Now, you could just start working your way down, wrap it around down the leather bracelet, and that'll keep it pretty secure. It'll be good, but I want these to stay center, and I want them to be a little stronger. So I'm going to come around and wrap it that way now over the top that crevice between the beads and do the same there. And then I'm going to come back under here and twist these guys around each other, lock them in place like that, give myself a nice X. Now we can have some fun. We can come up over the top and we can do a design on there if we want. I'm almost tempted to. I think that will look cute. Or you could just start going and making more designs. I can't help myself. I feel like that needs like at least a tiny bit of a swirl right there, right? You think? What do you think? Did I overdo it, or was that fun? Yeah, I think either way it looked good. It's up to you guys. If you want to show the stone more, you don't have to do that. But now we're free to have fun because that thing is locked in place. It's almost locked better than the ones where I did have the hole punch. So again, I'm kind of experimenting as I go, but we'll just come down here, and I think I'll just make my way back like this. Oh, almost out. Look at that, I just made it. See if this guy on this side, if I gave myself enough to do the same thing. Ooh, are we going to make it? We're going to, oh, just, that one is not going to make it. No, yeah, just made it. Wow. Look at that. I am good. So I have just enough to make a little tiny bit of a swirl and tuck it in the stone on both sides. Yes. Okay, recalibrate. That stone is way too tight. I couldn't even get the swirl in there. So I backed it up behind the leather. So now I have more to play with, and I'm going to make a fat swirl. This time the swirl is going to be part of the design. Make a fat swirl, and I'm going to stick it right there, right at the end of the bead formation. You know, pull this guy up, shove him in, tuck him tight, tuck him in for the night. Good night swirl. Do the same one with this guy, tuck him right there. How cool is that? Look at that's like so freaking cool. Wow. Right? Fun. Let's do the last one. What do we have? Oh, got some fun guys going on here. Where's the last one? Ah, here we go. This guy. Here we have some kind of a white marbly jasper oval bead and 2 6mm, no, these are 8mm ceramic olive green beads. Always make sure your wire fits the hole in your beads before you attempt this. But, yeah, there's no but. Just always make sure. Let's go back to our bright copper. This is going to be fun. Now, I'm feeling black gunmetal again. Let's do this. Thread the beads into the middle of the wire, and I'm going to do what I did last time. Like, no hole punch. Just do right angles like that. Put it down in the middle, and just start wrapping it. Just get it around tight. And that worked with the tiny beads. Let's see if it works with some big beads. Oh yeah, this is totally working. Just make sure you hold the stone beads in place, because they're tending to want to slide around a lot on this. More than the other one was much tighter, because the beads were all the way to the same width of the leather. Okay, so we came around, and now we're crossing over the top of each of these. And what do we want to do? Let's go around this stone like this, right? Right? No? Maybe? I don't know. Nah, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I mean, there's a million patterns you could come up with, but I want to give you guys some solid patterns that are not going to... Now this, I would do 18 gauge with this. This wire is already a little flimsy for these giant stones, but tighten it up. We'll tighten it up already. Like, give it some good, give it a good crimp in the back like that. All right, I think that's tighter now. And, all right, we'll start, come out here, here, and then we'll zigzag back. And do the same here, here, and zigzag. Look at me, I'm going fast now, like I'm some kind of super pro. Be careful, don't get too ahead of yourself. Like, you want it to be tight, every movement to be tight, so don't just fling it around like you're wrapping a cord around your arm, like a power cord to put it away. What am I going to do? I have to think of something fun. Ooh, you know what? I'm just going to thread this, see what happens. I'm going to thread it totally under there, right? Whoop. And, ooh, I think I can get it to go diagonal around the stone. Nah. Yeah, I can kind of get it to go diagonal around the stone. I'm just going to thread it through. Okay. Now I got to do the same thing on this one. How do I do that? Okay, so that went in there. Okay, so it's diagonal underneath there, and I'll pull it tight. Right? Oh, that was dumb. That wasn't how that goes. That one goes, yeah, that is how it goes. Okay. Yeah, okay, we'll pull that tight around there. All right. Oh, okay, I got it. I know what I did. Ooh, ha! We're in the position to do the swirl again. I can't help myself, guys. I love this swirl. I put it on every stupid flat stone I have. And I just think it just looks cool. I mean, it's just fun, right? So we'll do this, and come around there. Oh, I'll thread it through here now. This is fun. Just making stuff up. But I think that's enough fun for, whoops, yeah. It's enough fun for today. I'm gonna end it there. What the heck? How did I even do that? I think I went through there. It's starting to kink. I gotta be careful. Okay. All right. I'm gonna end that. And fun. I think I'm gonna give these guys some crimps, and we're done.